we are here. Now we are in ICU, and I knew something was wrong, but I was listening to them. So my first instinct was to turn up. I was ready to, remember it was fight or fight, that was those two, but I was ready to fight, right? Not physically fight. Hi, my loves. You are tuning into Gracefully Her podcast, where we are going to talk about today trauma response. When you hear those words, what is the first thing that comes into mind for you? For me, it was fear. And I did some research on what trauma response is, and it's a just impulsive response that your body does, right? Either fight or flight. Many of us have learned that. But I got a question for you. What about praying? What about that being your response? When something traumatic happens in your life, what about prayer being your response? Well, I have a story that I wanted to share with you guys. That recently happened to me and my immediate family that's in my household. Well, my younger daughter, my middle-aged daughter, she had a procedure that was scheduled, and it was just to get her tonsils and adenoids removed due to snoring, right? So we waited all summer for this. We was actually ready. Me and her siblings was actually ready. She was kind of nervous, but like she had a really, really loud snore to her, right? So when the day finally came, prior to that morning of the procedure, she did come to me and tell me like she had like a snuffy nose and a bad cough. Well, I told her, like I can't give her any medicine and she can't eat nothing. Like you can't intake anything before a procedure, right? So I just told her to lay in my room, and maybe that can comfort her. I know that her nose was stuffy, but there was nothing really I could do. So I'm just like, okay, well, just come here with me, right? So that morning, it was a beautiful morning. I never forget. It was a beautiful morning. Very just the sun, just the sun. I love the bright mornings because it's just like it makes you have a good day. Like how you gonna have a bad day? How you waking up grumpy with the sun just shining, right? So let me get back to the story. So we're on our way to the procedure. My sister stayed a night so she could watch my other children. And as we are going to the hospital for the procedure, she was just telling me like she's nervous, and I just told her like, "Girl, we serve a good God. You okay? Like we're gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right. We're gonna have this procedure, and everything will go back to good. You won't be snoring no more." To give some little backstory to that, it was starting to become a self-conscious thing for her because like say she would be at daycare and she would snore. She would want to take a nap, but she would tell me like I had to put my coat over my head just so the other kids wouldn't hear me snoring. Like I was seeing that it was starting to become an insecurity to her. So I'm like, oh, okay. So this was like something that had to be done, right? So I'm just trying to ensure her that like you're okay. Just we prayed about it before we left. Everything is going to be okay. So when we get there, the anesthesiologist, she comes in and she always comes in, before a procedure to make sure that the child or whoever is okay to go under anesthesia, right? So she hears like a cough and she just like, okay, well, I hear that she's very congested, but her lungs sounds good. So we're going to just go ahead and do it. And the thing that was like a red flag for me, she wouldn't like, she stayed in the room just to listen to her. Oh, they gave her a small breathing treatment so they can open that airway up a little more. So um I kind of was like nervous a little bit then, but I was like, okay, well, they are professionals in what they do, so maybe they know what they're talking about. So they take her back, probably like 30 minutes. They call me and they say, hey, she's done. We're going to take her to recovery in about 15 minutes. We're going to let you come back there and we'll let you know, and you can come back there. So I'm like, okay. So 15 minutes go by, they call me and they say, hey, Kyla, she sounds very congested even more. So we're going to keep her overnight just to make sure everything is okay. So I'm like, okay. That was my response. I didn't panic, and I will admit that I can be over dramatic sometimes in certain situations, but I wanted to be calm with this. Like I just wanted it to to I wanted to just be calm. I didn't want to work myself up, right? So we go up to the room. They tell me what room it is. I go up to the room, and I walk in the room and I see like three nurses by her bedside, and I look at my daughter and she's just out of it, right? She's out of it. But what was alarming to me was she had tears coming out of her eyes, but she was like looking asleep, like she was looking just like her eyes was closed, but she was just like crying, like bawling. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what's wrong? And they had a slushy at the end of her bed and they was saying it was feeding to her, but she still was crying. She was very upset. So I tried to get like a little spoon and I tried to like rub it on her lips and just rub her arms and her hands and, just like try to wake her up, but to make sure that she knows that I'm there for her. I'm right there, right? So she can hear my voice and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? Why is she still like just super out of it? And it was like, well, anesthesia, is different for everybody. It takes a little longer for other people for it to wear off, right? So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I listened to him. I'm like, well, let me go. Since you guys are admitting her and it's like 12 in the afternoon, let me go get my other children and my sister and bring them up here so we could just spend the rest of the day up here. So I shoot back to the house. I'm like right around the corner. Well, I'm like 20 minutes from the hospital. I shoot back to the house. I go get my kids and my sister. And as I'm locking the door to my house, they call me and they say, hey, Kyla, oxygen levels shot down really low. We had to rush her to ICU. Her room number is da da da. Please get here as soon as you can. Here comes the trauma response, right? Here comes the trauma response, y'all. Here comes the trauma response. This is the trauma response. Remember, mine is fear. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared. I'm like, okay. Okay. I told my children when I had told them like, okay, I'm gonna get y'all some lunch and then we can go up to the hospital. I told them prior before I got this phone call, right? Y'all, when I got that phone call and as I was locking my door, we all got in the car, loaded up, wait on the food. They was just kind of, they still younger, so they was like, what? Wait on the food. Let's go to the hospital. We get there. I'm the first one in her room. I see this huge mass on her face. It's an oxygen mask, and she's sitting up a little bit. She's in tears. She's really bawling. The nurses is around her bed and they trying to comfort her, and I'm just like, I don't even know if I pushed them out. I don't know, but I was able to get right there in front of her and it's like, hey, I'm here. Are you okay? What's going on? And I'm telling them like, what happened so fast? And it was like, yeah, her oxygen level dropped really low, concerningly low. We had to call a code and everybody had to rush in there, and I'm just like, my first instinct, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, it was to turn up. It was to turn up because this could have been avoided. If they heard that she had a cough, prior before the procedure, they could have scheduled it 2 weeks from now to just make sure to be on the side of precaution to know like, okay, well, she, let's just get this code out the way. But they didn't do that. They went ahead and did it, and now we are here. Now we are in ICU, and I knew something was wrong, but I was listening to them. So my first instinct was to turn up. I was ready to, remember, it was fight or fight. Those two, but I was ready to fight, right? Not physically fight, but I was ready to just let them have it. Let them have it. Something told me like, no, don't do that. Don't do that this time. So I started praying. I started praying. I started talking to Jesus, and I'm just like, Lord, you in control. You in control. Please direct us, lead us, Lord. I don't know. And it was scary, right? Take the route that I usually do. And I was very shocked about that, right? I started, I think it was more so because I'm always like talking about the Bible to my peers. So it was almost like God was like, okay, well, you talk about it. Let me test you now. So that's how I took it. And I was like, okay, this is a test. You know what? This is a test. I'm gonna pass this. this serious. It's very serious because it's my daughter, So after I prayed, I prayed, and we just sat there, and she was out of it that whole day. She was just out of it that whole day. Like she didn't wake up. And I'm like, well, what about she got to use the bathroom, or what if she get there and they had her hooked up to the IVs, whatever. And I'm like, is y'all gonna put a cabinet? I'm just concerned, asking a lot of questions. I want to ask a lot of. I'm all about asking a lot of questions because I'm, for one, concerned. I'm her mother, and then two, I feel like at the hospital you always want to ask questions because that lets them know like they just can't do anything. I want to know what is that medicine for? What is it? What? Yeah, it's not really giving a hard time, but I'm definitely. I need to know. I need to be on top of it, right? And my mom taught me that. Shout out to my mom. She worked at the hospital for years, right? So speed up to Sunday, right? During the day, she's up, she's moving. She did not want to. She still hooked up to her IVs, but she wanted to sit in the chair next to the hospital bed, and I probably would insert a picture as well too. But she wanted to sit in the chair instead of the hospital bed. She just would not. She just would not sit in that hospital bed, right? Like every night they would give, like, she would go to sleep without the mask, and then like in the middle of the night they would have to rush in there, put the mask on her because her oxygen level done stopped, jumped really low, right? So by Sunday night, she is, no, anybody that's like really close to us can testify. Kyla is the first one to go to sleep in our household, right? She is the first one to go to sleep, probably anywhere she goes. Like she's a sleeper. So it was alarming because around like 3 o'clock in the morning, she still was up. She still was up. And I'm like, okay, she's sitting there watching a little tablet. And I'm like, Kyla, what's like, why you not sleep? And she like, I'm scared. She like, I'm scared to go to sleep and wake up with that mask on. And it was nothing I could do. It was nothing I could do. I was so sad. I was so sad. It was nothing I could do. It felt like my back was against the wall. But once again, that trauma response, I went to go pray. I went to go pray. I went in the bathroom of the hospital. I went in there and prayed. And I just prayed and I prayed. I got on my knees and I prayed to God. I came out and I came in there and I prayed with her. She prayed with her dad on the phone as well, and she prayed, and I just was giving her reassurance words like, you're gonna be okay. God got us, and it's gonna be okay. Like, it's all right. If anything happened, you already here. Like, we here, so it's okay. Don't be scared of the mask. It's nothing. It's to help you, right? So I'm just trying to tell her the right thing, and so it was crazy because something in my mind told me, it told like a memory popped up to where I remember in gym we would be running, right? And I used to get so like out of breath. My gym teacher would tell me like, lift your hands up in the back of your head so that your airway can open up more, right? So I told her, I was like, you know what, you could lift your arms up, like lift your arms up behind your head. She got really comfortable, and I was just telling her like, when you do that, it opens up your airway, and you can probably just sleep like that. And it was like, it was sad because she was sleep. She listened to me. She slept like that for a minute, and like she would get real comfortable and change position or do something like that, and then she would like jump and like hurry up and do this again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so scared. Like, she is so scared. I eventually fall asleep looking at her, and before I know it was like 8 in the morning, I hear like little whispers. So I look over, and it's the doctor. The doctor, and he's saying, "You're going home." Yo, I'm telling you, like, it was like the best words ever. This man literally, the doctor literally told us, he said, I don't know what it was. He said she didn't eat the mask the whole night. He said, I'm going to be honest, we didn't know how she was going to get home, because if we would have sent her home, like if something happened, then it can fall on us. So I understood that, and it was just so beautiful, y'all, to hear those words. Me and her was like just jumping for joy, and he was like, we didn't know how we was gonna send her home because she just every night she needed it, but this night she didn't. I went back in the bathroom and I thank God. I thanked him and I thanked him. I gave him all the glory. I just kept saying like, praise God, praise God. It was just so beautiful. We ended up going home, and now it's been like a month. Kyla is sleeping so peacefully and quiet, and just like I'm talking about, it's kind of alarm. It's kind of like tapping her, like, all right, girl. Once she sleep, it's so quiet. Like we not used to that at all from her. So it's a beautiful thing. Praise God to that, right? The story that popped up in my head is actually one of my favorite Bible stories. It's when David, I don't know if you know this story, but when David, so him and some men, they had left, all the men in the village, they had left, right? And when they came back, a different village had took all the women and the children, and they basically kidnapped them, right? And all of the animals and everything, right? They took everything. The men and David was crying so bad. They was crying so bad. Like they couldn't cry no more. That's how much they was crying. Like it was horrible, right? Like it was horrible. But mind you, trauma response. What's the first thing you gonna do when your kid or somebody get kidnapped? Your wife at that, like somebody get kidnapped. What's the first thing you gonna do? You gonna go get them, right? Like you're gonna go get them. You're gonna go try to find them. You're gonna go try to take it in your own hands to where you're gonna go find them or whatever, right? But David did not do that. David did not do that, y'all. These men wanted to kill David. They wanted to stone David. Y'all, I'm gonna put it in the scripture below. Y'all can read this story. This story is so beautiful. They wanted to stone David, but guess what David did? David went into his house and prayed to Jesus. And hold on, not only prayed to God, but he asked God, what should I do? Y'all, if that's not faith, if that's not faith right there, our first instinct is to go get them. But he did not do that. He asked God, and God told him, whatever you do, I'm with you. Y'all, I'm telling you, this is real. Like this is so real. I wanted to share this because that was so beautiful. Like that was beautiful. Like that's beautiful. That's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. Just, and it showed that David is just, that faith right there was beautiful. Like it can't be compared. Like it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. And I want to get to that point. I want to share that story so we all can get to that point to rely on Jesus. Sometimes problems be so big or just out of our hands and we feel so helpless. We have to turn to God. Turn to God. Some things shouldn't even be able, like some things be so big that we can't even handle it. We need to turn to God, and sometimes he will put us in situations to see if we go turn to him. So I think that's definitely, some things be a test to where, let me see if you're gonna do this. Like God knows what the end result gonna be at the end, right? But we don't. So he wants to see that. He wants to see if we're gonna pass that test. And I just wanted to share this with y'all. I feel like it's a very beautiful testimony. Um, I definitely still want to know what y'all trauma response is, and I want you guys to let me know if you guys will start considering prayer being your trauma response, because I think it's leaning on God, having that faith that God is gonna get you through it, even when you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Having that faith that God will get you through this. He will get you through this. And guess what? It might not be a end result that you was hoping for, but everything happened for a reason. Everything happened for a reason. Even if it doesn't be the response or the end result that we was hoping for, does that mean that you give up on God? Does that mean that you just say, oh, I don't want? No, you continue to keep going. You continue to keep going. You continue to have that faith. I'm truly, truly am a believer of testimonies building faith. Testimonies build faith. Like going through things, it builds your faith. It builds it. I encourage you guys. I hope I sow some seeds out there. So yes, y'all, that's episode number 3. that closes this episode. I love you guys. Please make sure you guys tune in for more every 2 weeks, y'all. Every 2 weeks, I'm gonna keep dropping, um, giving y'all testimony stories. Hopefully, we can get a good guest up in here. I don't want to just bring anybody. I want somebody that's really interested. And I love everybody, right? We love everybody. We love everybody, right? I just want to bring somebody that's like very motivational, very inspirational, somebody that's really that you guys will enjoy as well as me, right? And you can learn from. I love you guys. Continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe, y'all. And I love you guys. Bye.